And at tonight's Delta County Board meeting, gavel banging and calls to order punctuated the final public comment. Board Chair David Moyle says he followed the board's new rules of decorum tonight. He threatened to recess the meeting when several audience members confronted each other. Moyle also warned several audience members during the commissioner comment period.
In order for the work of the people to be done, the commission, members of the commission, duly elected people, have to have the ability to enter into debate, disagreement, agreement, without the audience chiming in. You get 2 times to do that during a commission meeting.
Also tonight, the Central UP Planning and Development Regional Commission presented an analysis of Delta County's master plan. It says the plan needs to be updated for it to be a resource for the Planning Commission.